Hello and welcome to YouTube Gallifrey02 and my last of my 500 subscriber celebrations, where I count down my top 20 Doctor Who stories of all time, from both Classic Who and New Who. So this list has been incredibly hard to make, and I mean incredibly hard. Loads and loads of stories have been candidates to be put on this list. I've had about 70 different stories, but I haven't been able to decide which ones to go on the top 20. So, I finally came to an agreement, and here is my list of my top 20 Doctor Who stories of all time. And yes, the intro which played at the beginning of this video, that will sadly be the last time that intro plays, as I am going to be rebooting my channel after this video with a brand new intro, a brand new logo. So, goodbye to intro. So, starting the list at number 20, we do have The Seeds of Death. Now, The Seeds of Death is an absolutely remarkable second Doctor story, in my opinion, and the Ice Warriors of the story are absolutely amazing. Has a very strong plot line, very controversial about humans not wanting to go into space. I just think it's a really good story. So, moving on to number 19, we have got Vengeance on Varos. Now, Vengeance on Varos is my favourite Sixth Doctor story. So if you're a fan of Colin Baker, I'm afraid there will be no more Colin Baker stories on this list. So yeah, Vengeance on Varos is my favourite Colin Baker story. I think it's very good and has lots of great moments, and also very controversial as well. A lot like the Hunger Games, as a lot of people fight to the death. At number 18, we do have the finale for Series 1 of Doctor Who. This is Bad Wolf and Parting of the Ways. Now, I think this is a great end for Christopher Eccleston's time as the 9th Doctor, or the 10th Doctor, as there's the War Doctor in between the 8th Doctor and the 9th Doctor. So yeah, I think Bad Wolf and Parting of the Ways is a brilliant Dalek story, and it's absolutely stunning, full to the brim of action, and yeah, an amazing story in my opinion. So now we move on to number 17, and at number 17 we do have Vincent and the Doctor. Now, Vincent and the Doctor is one of my favourite, well, my favourite Matt Smith story. Yeah, it is quite far down the list, and Matt Smith isn't one of my favourite Doctors, but that doesn't mean his stories are the greatest. A lot of Matt Smith stories aren't the best, but I like his Doctor, but the stories don't live up to the expectations of his Doctor. So sadly, Vincent and the Doctor is the only one on this list. I just find it amazing. Vincent van Gogh and the Doctor work brilliantly, and yeah, I find it a very good episode in my opinion. And yeah, love the dynamic between a historical story just mixed with a bit of sci-fi. At number 16, we do have the only William Hartnell on this list. Now, this is The Rescue. Now, The Rescue is an amazing story, in my opinion, which is absolutely full of suspense and is only a two-part Doctor Who story, making it one of the shortest classic Doctor Who stories. But I like it about The Rescue. Just something about this story which I love. It's just not a nice story to watch, but it's just nice and easy to watch, and that's why I do like The Rescue, and has come in at number 16 on this list. At number 15, we do have Remembrance of the Daleks. Now, Remembrance of the Daleks is absolutely stunning. It takes place at Coal Hill School and is a war against two different kinds of Daleks against a load of humans. And I just find this story absolutely stunning. It's a 7th Doctor story, played by Sylvester McCoy, and I just think it is great. Absolutely stunning, and as well, it's full of action, which makes it 10 times better. At number 14, we do have The Seeds of Doom. Now, The Seeds of Doom is an absolutely amazing piece of television, in my opinion. The Seeds of Doom is an amazing 4th Doctor story, and it's such a shame, as when I made my top 10 4th Doctor stories, I hadn't seen The Seeds of Death. So yeah, now that is definitely in that top 10 list. And yeah, The Seeds of Doom, an amazing story, and yeah, just full of action. And yeah, love action in any Doctor Who story. It just really enhances the story a lot more. Now at number 13, we do have The Daemons, a third Doctor story. Now The Daemons is an absolutely amazing story in my opinion, and a great way through the Master Series, Season 8 of Doctor Who. Now The Daemons, great, absolutely amazing. Love the scenery in this story, love the plot, and yeah, great story in my opinion. Very atmospheric, I think, very spooky, hence why it's called The Daemons. So at number 12, we do have a new Who story. This is Listen. Now Listen is absolutely stunning. It's another amazing piece of television. I absolutely adore Listen. It is superb. And yeah, I've always wanted to know what that thing is in the corner of your eye. So if you want to know what it is, please go and watch Listen if you already haven't. It's very creepy. And yeah, just a great story in my opinion. Very atmospheric as well. Now at number 11, we do have yet another new Who story. This is Blink. Now Blink is an amazing story. The Doctor doesn't make much of an appearance, only through cameos. But I find that great. I find this story absolutely amazing. And a great piece, which is written by Stephen Moffat. Another great piece. Stephen Moffat goes from the best to the worst with stories, and I think this is one of his best pieces of writing. Yeah, Blink, just amazing. Introduction to one of the most legendary Doctor Who villains ever, the Weeping Angels. So don't blink if you watch this episode. Yeah, the Doctor does say at the beginning, don't blink. Blink, and you're dead. Now at number 10, we do have the first Third Doctor story. This is Spearhead from Space. Now Spearhead from Space is a great introduction to the Third Doctor in my opinion, and it's absolutely stunning, like all the stories on this list. So I'm going to find a different word to stunning, and from now on I'm going to call the stories brilliant. So yeah, Spearhead from Space, introduction to the Autons, introduction to the Third Doctor, obviously, because it's his first story, introduction to so many people, and the first colour episode of Doctor Who. Yeah, it's such a landmark episode, I think, Spearhead from Space, and an amazing Doctor Who story. Now at number 9, we do have The Caves of Androzani. Now The Caves of Androzani is the last story to feature the 5th Doctor, as played by Peter Davison. Now The Caves of Androzani is an absolutely cracking story in my opinion. Didn't used to like it, but now I've rewatched it, I find this story absolutely full of suspense, and is absolutely brilliant. A brilliant, brilliant story. Now at number 8, we do have The Web of Fear. Now The Web of Fear is an amazing Second Doctor story. And yes, there are still 2 Second Doctor stories yet to come on this list, which tells you I do love the Second Doctor, as played by Patrick Troughton. Now The Web of Fear is another atmospheric Doctor Who story, very creepy, very full of suspense, and yeah, just very scary, I think, as it's all in black and white, takes place in the abandoned tube line. Yeah, just amazing. So at number 7, we do have the final Patrick Troughton story, and the final black and white story. This is the 10-part epic. This is The War Games. Now The War Games is an absolutely brilliant story. Absolutely fantastic. A great way to end Patrick Troughton's Doctor. So yeah, The War Games, really like that. Again, a bit like Vengeance on Varos, a bit like The War Games. A bit like The Hunger Games, sorry. So yeah, at number 6, we do have The Green Death. Now The Green Death is a third Doctor story, and is the departure for one of the most iconic Doctor Who companions, Jo Grant. Now, I think this story is an absolutely stunning end to her companion, and yeah, again, has a very controversial plot, which links in a lot well, and a lot of people can relate to something which links in with current issues in the world. And I think The Green Death is another great story, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, the effects aren't the best, but other than that, a great plot. and that's why it is coming at number 6. So now on to the top 5, my top 5 Doctor Who stories of all time. So at number 5, we do have a 4th Doctor story. This is Genesis of the Daleks. Now, Genesis of the Daleks tells you how exactly the Daleks began all those years ago on Skaro, and I think it tells that story absolutely beautifully. And yet another controversial story, I think, as the Daleks represent Nazis, and yeah, links in with past issues in the world. So yeah, Genesis of the Daleks, a very controversial story, but yeah, absolutely stunning and brilliant piece of television, and has been voted by many to be the greatest Doctor Who story of all time. So at number 4, we do have yet another Tom Baker story. This is Horror of Fang Rock. Now, Horror of Fang Rock is absolutely stunning. All takes place on a lighthouse. Now, you think a story which only takes place in one location will be pretty boring over 4 parts of 25-minute episodes, but yet this story isn't boring because it is full of suspense, full of drama, full of plot twists. This story is absolutely stunning and is my favourite Tom Baker story, and has earned its place at number 4 on my list of top 20 Doctor Who stories. So at number 3, we do have Face the Raven. Now, Face the Raven is just stunning. I absolutely adore Face the Raven. Face the Raven is my favourite Peter Capaldi story, favourite companion departure. Well, kind of, until she was brought back by Stephen Moffat in Hellbent. Hate Stephen Moffat for that, but you can forgive him, as he wrote 2 stunning Christmas specials, in my opinion, but they haven't made it to the top 20 list. So yeah, Face the Raven, great story, absolutely brilliant. Have you ever been on a street, then wanted to go back the next day, but you can't find a street? This episode answers that answer for you. So yeah. At number 2, we do have The Waters of Mars. Now, The Waters of Mars is again an absolutely brilliant atmospheric Doctor Who story, and it's earned its place at number 2 of my top 20 Doctor Who stories of all time. That's how good this episode is. I absolutely adore this autumn special for 2009. It is absolutely amazing. I absolutely praise this story, my favourite story of New Who, which implies that my number 1 place is a classic episode, but Waters of Mars, my favourite New Who episode, absolutely stunning, another great piece of television, and it's earned its place at number 2. So before we get to 1, let's count down some honourable mentions, stories which I considered to be on the list but didn't make it, and yet after this list there are a lot more Doctor Who stories which I planned to put on this list but didn't make it. These are just a select few. So we have got The War Machines, the story which predicts the internet, Power of the Daleks, the first story to feature Patrick Troughton as the second Doctor. The Sea Devils, quite a underrated Doctor Who story, but I absolutely loved Sea Devils, brilliant story. Inferno, another great third Doctor story, but it sadly didn't make this list. The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, a brilliant 7th Doctor story, but again didn't make it onto this list. Dalek, a story where a Dalek kills hundreds of people. This story is again very controversial, and yeah, a great story in my opinion, but sadly hasn't made it onto this list. The Stolen Earth and Journey's End, a brilliant end to Series 4 of Doctor Who, but again hasn't made it onto this list. And the last honourable mention is The Lodger, a childhood favourite of mine. The Lodger is absolutely amazing, a great story, but hasn't made it onto this list. So, my favourite Doctor Who story of all time. What is it going to be? Well, if you're a fan of my channel, I have mentioned many times what my favourite Doctor Who story is. This is no other than the enemy of the world. Yes, the enemy of the world. Doctor Who takes on James Bond. The Enemy of the World is an amazing piece of television, an amazing Doctor Who story. So amazing, it is my favourite Doctor Who story of all time. A definite 11 out of 10. That's how good this episode is. This story is absolutely amazing, full of action, and yeah, just a great story in my opinion. Again, a very controversial story, which links into the present day world, which fans can relate to, and that's why controversial stories are very popular. So, Enemy of the World, brilliant story, and yeah, has made it to number 1 on my list of top 20 Doctor Who stories. My favourite Doctor Who story of all time. Please let me know what your favourite classic Doctor Who story is in the comments below. And a big thank you for 500 subscribers. I never thought I would get this far. And goodbye from my 500 subscribers celebrations. My next video will be the long awaited Doctor Who tag. So until the next time, goodbye.